so powerful that if that reaches the ground, you're talking about the potential for some destruction. And that's what we're seeing, and that's why the tornado warning has been issued. So what I'm going to do now is kind of clean up and kind of look at our velocity, kind of look inside the storm. Right now, you're seeing the rain here. What I want to look at is the wind, how that rain is moving around. And to do that, I'm going to go to our velocity product, and I'm going to take a look at several products just to see if anything jumps out at me. Now, nothing here, according to our radar, jumps out at me, but I want to take a look at a couple other spots where we might see something here. So let's go over here to another spot here of the National Weather Service here. Now, this is what they're suggesting. Now, some of the wind speeds out of this are certainly very extreme. So if you go away from York County, look at that. That's 73. Now, that's up top, right? So bring it down just a little bit. It's probably about 50-mile-per-hour wind in the Jonesville area. Here's Lockhart, Chester County. So right now, just for those just tuning in, this storm really hasn't just entered York County just yet. But in these areas up in Union County, you're talking about 60 to 70-mile-per-hour winds, and then perhaps maybe a little bit of a wind going in a different direction, right? So you got winds here going this way, and right here you got winds kind of going that way. That's where there could be a tornado. Nothing confirmed, no funnel spotted. This is rain wrapped, but certainly something that you want to be aware of. All right, let's clean this up and show you kind of where we are here with this system as we watch it make its approach. So now, right now, it's just starting to get into the western edge, the central parts of York County. I'm going to clean that up here and give you an idea of where we're going with this. So right there is the storm just entering York County as we speak and getting ready to push itself up into the central parts of the county, places like York, places like Clover. Now here at Channel 9, we are on the air until we know the situation is safe. So we're going to stay on here, go past Good Morning America. You'll hear from meteorologist Danielle Miller in just a second. Until we know that this situation has ended and we're all clear, then we will go back to our traditional programming. But as long as this warning is up, and it's up until 9:15, we will stay on the air. And also, we have our producers, and we also have Eyewitness News' Erica Jackson. She's talking to some contacts right now in York County to see what we have here, to talk to the emergency manager, just to see what's going on with this if we do have a tornado on the ground. Right now, a little too hard to see, a little too hard to tell. My thought is, from what I can tell here from our radar, I'm not seeing much, to be honest with you. But we want to be safe here and just give you the brass tacks of where we see this potential situation. Now, I'm going to clear up this real quick just to kind of give you an idea. This is the cell that they're watching right here. So it's just entered the county, and it's just southwest of the Brattonsville area, okay? As I zoom things here, here's McConnell's, here's York. The storm is pushing to York. Regardless if we have a tornado here or not, we got some strong winds, right? We got winds about 40 to 50 miles an hour. That's going to bring trees down. That's going to bring power lines down. It could cause a lot of damage maybe to mobile homes. If you're in that kind of situation, you need to make sure that you're taking the right precautions. Lowest level of the home. That's where you need to be right now. So as we watch this push up into York, Clover also next, and then you can kind of draw a line here right up in that direction. That would certainly include places like Southern Gastonia up around Union Road, some of those areas, and then back up in through maybe the Lowell community, Dallas as well, Ranlow, all within the path of this particular storm. All right, let's start over here and give you an idea of where we are. A tornado warning has been issued for York County. It's this spot right here that we're worried about. It's up until 9:15. So we put this in the communities that are involved specifically are York, Clover, Filbert, Hickory Grove, Smyrna, and the Sharon communities. If you live in Rock Hill, this storm is not for you, okay? I want to put you at ease there. This storm is moving away from you. See, here's Rock Hill. This is the trajectory of this. Now, the only thing that would suggest maybe broad circulation to me would be how this line is moving. You see how it's kind of squiggly here like that? It's not like a traditional like line, what we call a bow echo. And all that tells me is there's maybe a little wind action here. There's maybe like winds kind of going in different directions. Can you see how it makes that kind of move? That's why that tornado warning was issued by the National Weather Service. And again, it's central parts of York County. as we watch this, is moving more towards the Gaston County as well, so we'll have to watch that. Now, we have team coverage here. Meteorologist Danielle Miller is going to give you a look at the big picture and any reports that we're seeing. Danielle, anything that we're hearing from right now?
Yeah, not getting any reports just yet, John, but we do want to reiterate that conditions are ripe for these quick spin-ups as this line of storms pushes through. We do have a tornado watch for all of the counties highlighted in red. So yes, that includes out York County, Gaston County, Mecklenburg County, Charlotte is included in this tornado watch, and areas up towards Hickory, Statesville, Salisbury. And that's going to go until 1 o'clock this afternoon. I also wouldn't be shocked if this gets extended out. Areas like Albemarle, Wadesboro, you're not included in this watch, but you could be added to it later on. So this is going to be an evolving situation as we go on throughout the rest of our morning and afternoon. Really not the best day to get outside and out and about. Here's what we're tracking when it comes to threats. Heavy rain, damaging wind gusts, really big deals, even if you're not included in that tornado warning. We got a good bit of rain yesterday. We're talking about an additional 1 to 3 inches of rain as we go on through the rest of today. Grounds are saturated. We've got these storms pushing through, winds gusting near 60 miles per hour. Down trees, certainly a possibility. Power outages a possibility today with those damaging wind gusts. Spin up tornado risk for today's setup. Obviously, it is there. It is on the lower end, but it is there. And we're going to continue to watch for some of those signatures throughout the morning. Let me give you just a brief preview of what we're looking. We're expecting to see this storm system continue to march east. I think this computer model a little bit behind. We're seeing this line push in 9 a.m. right now. So Charlotte, 10:30, it's coming your way very quickly, continuing to push east throughout the rest of the afternoon. So something we're going to be dealing with, John, all morning long.
Oh, yeah, Danielle. These are going to be very quick, so you just need to make sure you're prepared for this. And that's why we're talking about for our friends up in Gaston County. You could be next if this warning were to continue. And the warning's got another half hour, but my thought is the actual risk here is fairly low. I mean, we picked up maybe a little brief circulation earlier when it was in Union County, South Carolina. But at this point, I don't see it. But you see how Danielle was talking about it. You go down to Winsboro, there's another warning down that way. So it's a serious situation. We got to look at it. And either way you go, when this line hits you, you're talking about a real, very quick, but a real strong burst of rain and wind that come at you. And it's going to last so fast. I mean, maybe 10, 15 minutes and then it's done. The question is, though, if that's a tornado, the damage in that amount of time could be catastrophic in a small area, but certainly affect a lot of people. So that's why we're on the air through Good Morning America. We want to keep you safe. That is the job here at Severe Weather Center 9. And as we watch this system right now, just the very fact that you see these segments kind of breaking off of each other tells me a couple of things. It tells me that the wind is there, but it also says to me that we're not seeing a whole lot of organization out of this. So I'm going to take another quick look at this here, and then we're going to kind of give an idea of where we're going to stand here with this particular warning. Our radar is not indicating much, and we have not had any kind of confirmation of that, but we are picking up very strong winds, though, okay? That's certainly something that you've got to be mindful of. Regardless if this is a tornado, can you imagine 46-mile-per-hour winds? Just 5 to 10 minutes of that is going to bring some stuff down. So you got to take this very seriously. And just judging, though, we don't see the twisting of it at this point in time. The circulation is very, very broad, okay? So let's go back to where we are, radar here. Again, to give you an idea of where this storm is heading. We're looking at spots up around Gaston County. That is going to be next. York County up until about 9:15. These are very fast movers. So my thought is we will probably not be on the air much longer. Danielle, I'm going to give it to you real quick, and we're going to talk to our producers and managers to see how long we're going to need to be on the air. But I'm thinking that this particular warning right here is sort of decreasing as far as the threat goes. Danielle?
Yeah, definitely a good call there, John, as we continue to see that part at least break up. This is a whole line of storms, though, that we're going to continue to watch. Let me take you big picture. Today, really the entire East Coast is being impacted by the storm system. We've got wet weather spanning from Detroit down through the Carolinas and down into the panhandle of Florida. We are seeing numerous severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings. So travel today really not going to be advised. If you have to fly somewhere today, maybe you're traveling back home from the holidays, check in with your airlines. We've already seen numerous delays and a few cancellations out of Charlotte Douglas this morning, a situation we're continuing to watch. But as mentioned, we do have the potential, the ingredients are there today for severe weather. So we do have that tornado watch. That goes until 1 o'clock this afternoon. Every county highlighted in red, that is going to be included in this watch. And we are likely to see that extend as this storm system continues to move off to the east, likely to see this watch continue you. So Albemarle, Wadesboro, you guys are not included in this watch right now, but I wouldn't be shocked if you got added to it as we go on through the rest of your day. Let's time things out here on Futurecast, and we're going to talk about again where these storms are headed. Again, I think this model run is about an hour behind or so. So moving through the Charlotte Metro close to that 10 o'clock, 10:30 time frame, continuing to push east as we go on through the rest of the afternoon. And once we get past this main line, there is still the potential to see a couple more storms popping up behind the system. I don't see a whole lot of energy there. We'll have to wait and see if we're able to get a rumble of thunder out of it. Certainly as we go overnight, we'll start to get some of that clearing, but certainly a ways to go, John.
Yes, Danielle, that's right. So, and a couple things here before we let you go, because again, we're not seeing that tornadic threat anymore up for York County. The Weather Service still has the warning up, but I think we're safe here at this point from any potential damage at this point from a tornado. Now, certainly the winds that are coming out of this spot is certainly extreme, so just be prepared for that. The winds are going to be coming 40 to 50 miles per hour. I was also talking to Eyewitness News reporter anchor Erica Jackson, telling for 40, we got hundreds of flights that have been impacted by this, that have been delayed or canceled from what we can tell here. So this is already providing a major issue here. So as we watch what's going on here, so there's the line here that's going to go all the way. There's the S signature. You see how this kind of makes a weird kind of S? When meteorologists see that, when the Weather Service sees that, they're just showing you that the winds are going in different directions, right? Sometimes you get what's called a bow echo where they kind of line up like that, right? That's pretty straight up, straight line, damaging winds. That's why we don't call tornadoes with that. But when the radar makes that kind of weird S signature, it just shows that the wind is kind of going from all kinds of places, at least at this point. So it's something that we need to be very careful and mindful of. So I've just got where we're going to stay here on the air just to make sure that you're safe here until this warning gets canceled, and I'm imagining it's going to be at any time. I'll be talking back and forth in the Weather Service as Danielle is talking to see when exactly they're going to go ahead and cancel it. But at this point, what we see out of this line is certainly some very strong to severe straight line winds, which can do just as much damage as a tornado can. So we can't take this for granted. We can't take it lying down like, oh, okay, there's no tornado. That doesn't matter. When this wall of rain and wind hits you, in a short amount of time, you could still have some significant damage out of this. Now watch how the line, as we've been talking, has kind of broken up into segments. So now you got this line right here, which is not tornadic, but is still producing some really serious wind, which I'll show you in just a bit. And notice where that's starting to march toward. That's starting to march more to Lake Wylie, Tega Cay, Fort Mill, and Charlotte. So this will begin to make its progression into areas where there's a lot more people. Fort Mill, you need to get a heads up. This guy is coming to you. You got some time to be prepared here. Same thing for India Hook, Rock Hill, the Leslie community, and then go up into Steel Creek, Carowinds, Whitehall, Yorkmont, all those spots in play, Pineville included, as this line right here starts to take a charge. Now this, again, is not tornadic. Notice here the red box. Can you see this red box here? That's the tornado warned area, okay? Nothing there at this point. This line right here is different. It's not necessarily a tornadic. I mean, I can't rule out a spin up here at this point, but what you do have here are some very aggressive winds, and I want to take a look at that as we see the wind threat coming out of this thing. So let's go ahead and switch gears. We're going to go inside the storm and give you a look at the wind component within this, okay? So the wind that we have here, just coming out of McConnell's, and the storm's moving so fast it's hard to keep up with it, is 55 miles per hour, right? That can do damage very quickly. And the thing that the calling card, and Danielle and I were talking about it, it's moving so fast. It's moving 60 miles per hour, so it's going to hit you quick, okay? And certainly can knock some things out. So let's go back to here and show you where the radar is, and then I'm going to go to show you some communities that are going to get involved here. Notice how fast it's moving. That's certainly very impressive, the speed of this. So from York down and through Chester, push this up to the northeast, and we're going to say 55 miles per hour or so. These are the communities that are going to get involved here. And Belmont, we talked about you, and I'm more thinking like the South Point area, right? All the way down South Point Road, up near Daniel Stowe, that's for you. As you go to the Riverwalk area, 909, so about 15 minutes. Carowinds, 913, on down and through the Whitehall community up near Steel Creek, that's around 915. So those are the communities involved. See how this storm has kind of done the splits here. I want to get real quick, we're going to go to Danielle here in just a second here. See how we kind of watch the energy split where This guy's going that way, and this one's kind of pushing up towards. So we got two areas of concern here as these guys, the energy is spread out. That's probably what prompted the warning, which I don't see as a warning anymore. But I certainly see thunderstorms capable of some very damaging winds. This guy pushing towards Gastonia. This one trying to push into the heart of Southwest Charlotte. Danielle?
John, we're continuing to track those storms. One of the areas that is seeing a severe thunderstorm warning is Rock Hill. So I want to take you live outside. We do have our storm tracker, or excuse me, a live camera shot out in that area. Things look okay at the moment. We've got rain falling. You can see the water from the fountains blowing. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning in place for Rock Hill. That's for Chester, York, and southeastern Cherokee counties. And that's because of winds gusting to 60 miles per hour. And I have seen some storm reports out of South Carolina with winds near the Greenville Airport close to that. So something to be mindful of. Here's a look at wind gusts across the area right now, gusting to 32 miles per hour out of Charlotte right now. These winds are coming out of the south. If you have stepped outside, you're going to feel it. It's warm. It's muggy. We've got that fuel for some thunderstorms. It almost feels more like a springtime day outside. Things are looking fairly quiet over the Freedom Boat Club in Davidson. We've got the clouds. None of those torrential downpours quite yet, but those storms, of course, marching east to just give it a little bit of time. I want to take you to another view outside. This is Blowing Rock, courtesy of Resort Cams. It is just a nasty day. We've got pouring rain. You can see roads are slick, and I know lots of people still out and about for the holidays as we go on through this weekend. And if you're having to do any travel, if you can delay it till after these storms pass or even until tomorrow, that's certainly going to be a better option for you as we continue to watch these storms push through. Let's talk impacts, threats for today. The main threats that we're watching with this line are going to be heavy rainfall and damaging winds. Winds 60 plus miles per hour, 1 to 3 inches of rain could cause trouble, especially for areas like up in the high country where grounds are wet. Trees could possibly come down. So we'll have to keep an eye on power outages. I'll check on that in just a little bit. The spin up tornado risk, obviously that's why we're on the air right now. Conditions aren't great, but they could happen. And that's why we've got these warnings in place. That's why we're going to continue to keep an eye on this. Let me show you just briefly what rain we're talking about. We got some yesterday. Charlotte picked up 1/3 of an inch. We are talking potentially another inch, inch and a half for the metro area. Some spots in the high country, John, they could pick up another 2.5 inches of rain, and that's problems enough.
Certainly. I mean, flooding is a big concern, and of course, we're worried about areas that have certainly had to deal with all that, the flooding threats in the past, and up in the high country, and of course, all that water is going to be coming down the South Fork River. So all those are some things to be considered and mindful of. We're in touch right now with the National Weather Service, trying to figure out how long they're going to keep this going. According right now, 9:15, but my thought is that specific tornadic threat has lowered significantly, but that's where the warning is for. So I want to clear up a little bit of confusion. Maybe you're waking up and your phone, maybe you're up in Rock Hill and you're like, well, what just happened here? There's a tornado warning for York County. Well, if you live in Rock Hill, the tornado risk for you is low. It's more the central parts of York County, okay? However, you are under a severe thunderstorm warning. So I'm going to kind of sit through the rib tape here and give you an idea of what the warnings we're talking about. I'll start out with the tornado warning. That is for central York County, communities like York, Clover, Filbert, okay? And if it continues, it would go into Gaston. My thought is it won't, but we're waiting to hear from the Weather Service to see what they decide to do. That warning itself, why we are on the air, is up until 9:15, okay? So let's clean that out. The thunderstorm warning, now that for you, Rock Hill, okay? That's coming for you, okay? That's where you have this line right here, which is going to produce a ton of wind and rain and maybe some lightning as well. That's coming to you. That, from what we can tell at this point, is not tornadic, right? Now, if we go up towards Cleveland County, Gaston, Lincoln, you're under a warning as well, and that is also a thunderstorm warning. So I kind of show here for Lincoln County, that's up until 9:45. That is non-tornadic. So essentially, there's multiple components within this line of storms. Essentially, what it's going to be here for the next 2 hours is just going to have this line of storms coming through, and that's what's going to give us our problems. We're looking live now. Channel 9 Storm Cam is on I-85, getting ready to go into Gastonia, and there's some of the rain that's being picked up at this point. And you can see a little bit of shake to that camera, but not much. There's not much wind there to speak of, at least at this point. But as what we see right now at this point, the wind speeds are up around 30, 40 miles per hour. As we watch that, certainly something to watch out as far as a potential quick spin-up tornado. That's all a possibility. What we notice here is right here in the middle is that spot we need to watch. And I'm waiting for the Weather Service to see what they decide to do. They've issued another thunderstorm warning, and now they're going to add Monroe into that. Okay. So here's what they've done. We've been waiting for this line of storms to push through the entire area, and that's going to happen in 12 hours. Not 12 hours. It's going to happen about 1 to 2 hours, right? And when it happens, it'll be quick, it'll be loud, but it'll be quick. And so what the Weather Service has done is issued this whole line to push through Charlotte between the hours of 9 and 11 a.m. It's going to be a pretty wild ride. The question is there any spin up here? And our answer is, at this time, no. Okay? We're waiting for the Weather Service to get rid of this warning right here, where we see the potential maybe this would be the only spot at this time where there's a warning, and I'm just waiting here for them to cancel that. At this point, they just want to be safe and make sure. So our biggest concern out of all of this is what's going on in central York County, right here, okay? In between Filbert and Kings Creek, right here. You see this? This is where there's just like a little bit of a gap here in the reflectivity. Anything right here would be the potential of a quick spin-up tornado. Maybe a funnel, that's certainly a possibility. Don't go out and look for it. We have certified storm spotters out there. If they see something, they will certainly let you know. Now, as I widen this out, everybody else is in play for thunderstorm warnings, and we just got that issued, and Charlotte, you are under a thunderstorm warning now, and that's up until 10:15. Think about the time frame. It's 9 o'clock, so the next hour and a half are going to be pretty wild. A lot of rain, a lot of wind, then we're done. Then it's gone. Union County, you're under that warning as well, and they've gone ahead and they've extrapolated, as I move that on, into Cabarrus County also. That's how fast it's moving. If you're watching us from Salisbury or Rockwell, that line will be coming your way, but you can kind of extrapolate it with us. That's probably not going to be until about 11 o'clock when it's going to be coming your way. So I would just be thinking about that if you're heading to church. There could be some issues coming up in that direction. But that's essentially the big picture here. We got multiple warnings up and down from this line. And if you're just waking up, you got the WSOC weather app, you're trying to sort it out here. The biggest area where we're most concerned about is in central York County. I'm waiting for that to expire. At this point, it has not yet. Danielle?
Yeah, John, continuing to watch the entire area, as you mentioned, watching as those severe thunderstorm warnings continue to just be tacked on. That's likely what we're going to see throughout the rest of the day. And even if you're not under that severe thunderstorm warning, you should act like you are. We have these really gusty winds and these really heavy downpours. One area that we haven't highlighted that is not under a warning, but you're still getting a pretty decent storm right now, that's up through the high country. As we look at Ashe, Avery, and Watauga counties, you see those yellows and oranges indicating those steady, heavy downpours of rain. So travel not looking great if you are up in those areas. And I can take you live outside. This is King Street up in Boone. You can see the rain is just coming down. Roads are nice and slick. Fortunately, no winter weather to talk about. This is just more of a springtime like setup with these storms pushing through. That's something we're going to continue to watch. Wind gusts outside of the thunderstorms are as high as 30 to 35 miles per hour. Those are going to continue to stay on the higher end of things. And of course, as that line pushes through, you can expect wind gusts as high as 60 miles per hour or so. Things are looking pretty good. Erica Jackson just checking in on power outages, saying no significant power outages according to Duke Energy at this time. We'll continue to keep an eye on that situation because, of course, our grounds are nice and wet. We've got these strong storms blowing through. So I do believe that the potential is there to see some of those issues as we go on through the day. Strong winds, heavy rainfall, our biggest impacts for today. And we, of course, continuing to monitor the situation when it comes to the possibility for tornadoes today. There is a little bit of spin in the atmosphere. One thing we haven't seen a lot of is energy. We haven't seen the sun in 2 days now? So where's the energy? We're looking for it. It's trying to get its act together. Rainfall, I think, really one of the bigger stories here, where we could still pick up an additional 1 to 2.5 inches as we go on throughout the rest of your morning time. Of course, causing some problems. I'm not expecting widespread flooding across the area today, but some of your low-lying, poor drainage areas, if you have a problem spot, maybe a drain is clogged on your street, that could cause some minor issues for you. So something we'll be watching. And then, of course, the reason we're on the air, the tornado watch. 4 highlighted counties in red. This is going to go until 1 o'clock this afternoon. So this just means conditions are there. We need to mix them all up to see if we get any of that spin to materialize. And that's why we're on the air today. Of course, John, we're not seeing that with that current warned storm, but we could see it in the future.
Certainly, and you know, we meteorologist Joe Puma, we're all here, talking here. Joe Puma's waiting. He's going to be taking over during the afternoon time, but he made a very good point. Look at this right here, Danielle, up in Winsboro. So there's circulation here. So for our friends in Lancaster County, you have the possibility. You do need to be ready here. We all do. It's a situation where you're looking at this wall of rain, and as fast as it comes through, there's just that possibility of a very quick spin up. And before you know it, it's done. The problem is, in that spin up, in that tornado, if it's like an EF0 or if it's an EF1, God forbid, you're talking about winds that are going in like 90, 100 miles an hour in that short amount of time. And that's where you could have a whole lot of trouble that we are praying does not happen. But at this point, it's that one spot that we're watching here. Again, we're going to go into central parts of York County. That's where I see the worst weather at this time. The rest of us are all under thunderstorm warnings, okay? So that means we're certainly going to get hit and hit hard, but hopefully we can keep the tornado risk down. So what I'm going to do is look at other spots where we can pick up some of the wind damage here and see what we're dealing with, if there's any kind of twisting on the wind. Now right here, as I watch this is strictly looking at the wind inside the storm, strictly looking at the wind. And when you see those bright colors, sure, you get some very strong wind. I mean, look at that, 71 miles an hour. Now you have to do a quick little bit of math because that's up top. It's a little high up in the atmosphere, right? So I lower it just a little bit. I think you're still talking 50 to 60 miles per hour, which could do incredible damage. Now that's moving in one direction away from this radar site back here. So it's moving this way. Now, when you're talking about other spots, it's just not so distinct. So I just do not see any real quick spin-ups out of this. What I do see, though, of course, is this wall of wind that's going to be coming at you. If I kind of go down into Rock Hill, where there is a thunderstorm warning, and that is coming for Charlotte, you're still dealing with some strong winds. So look at the wind that's coming out of this up in York, and think about where that's heading. That will cross the Catawba, and that will get up into places like Steel Creek and Whitehall. So all those are certainly on the table as far as a strong wind goes. Now, you live in Monroe. You live in Wesley Chapel. You got some time here. We're talking about maybe another half hour before it's even in your ballpark, okay? So you got some time to make sure. And what we're saying about being prepared here, what we're saying here is to stay away from glass. Stay away from windows. Get yourself in an interior room of the home, lowest level, and wait it out. Get it through. Make sure your phones are charged too, okay? Hopefully you're watching us and you can simulcast us on the app. We can also be on the app, so you don't need to be away from on your TV set, the electricity. You can watch us right from your phone. If you live up in Matthews, same deal, okay? So that's where, those are some of the things you need to be mindful of as you wait. Right now in Charlotte, we're waiting, but it's ready just about to cross the Catawba River, okay? Just about. Now I'm going to switch gears here and go to the rain right here. And notice, a couple things also jump out at me. This is so tiny, right? This is a sliver, right? But in that little sliver, just imagine, just a quick burst of 60-mile-an-hour winds. This will be out of here before you know it. But in that time, you're going to be thinking a lot of trouble's going on. We've been talking to Eyewitness News anchor Erica Jackson, who's been talking about the impacts of Charlotte Douglas here, right? That's another thing to be thinking about. They're going to have a ton of flight issues all through the morning into probably the afternoon from the residual delays as well. We don't have any outages, significant outages out of this at this point, but something that we're going to watch. Real quick, and then I'm going to see what the Weather Service is saying. My thought is it looks like they want to take this down to the wire. But at this point, what you got going on across Tega Cay is the storm that's going to be impacting Charlotte. Steel Creek, see how close it is to you? Steel Creek is going to be there in about 5 to 10 minutes, and then it continues its march on up and through Archdale, through South End, and into Charlotte, and then done. 10 o'clock, we're done, pretty much, from this particular line. Behind that, we were a little worried about any activity, and at this point, things are okay. Danielle, I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to see what the Weather Service is saying about this particular warning right in the middle of that. Danielle?
Yeah, sounds good, John. Let me take you big picture here. All of this is out ahead of a cold front, this line of storms that we're tracking. And as you mentioned, there's not a whole lot of activity really along that front at the moment, but you could see plenty of severe storms pushing down through Georgia, pushing through the panhandle of Florida. And we've got plenty of wet weather up through the Midwest. forecast as well. So if you are hoping to travel today, make sure to check in with your airlines if it's flying, because that's not looking great at the moment. Of course, across our area, we've got heavy rain, numerous severe thunderstorm warnings, and of course, keeping an eye on those tornado warnings to see if they're still valid and needed. One thing to note, North Carolina Emergency Management talking about Western North Carolina with these heavy rainfalls. We need to watch out. Heavy rain can increase the threat of landslides, especially where these have occurred in the past, especially after all of the damage and the devastation that we had from Helene. Just keep an eye on those problem spots. We are not talking widespread flood issues today, but that additional rainfall, of course, can add up and cause some minor issues here and there. So be alert if you are near a stream, especially up through the high country. That, again, coming from the North Carolina Emergency Management, things that you need to know, certainly so. And of course, we also have these winds that are quite gusty. Just outside of the storms, we could still see wind gusting as high as 40 miles per hour or so at times. And we do have a wind advisory in place for the high country. Of course, the tornado watch is probably our highest alert to talk about when it comes to these current watches. That is up for most of our area until 1 o'clock. Though, as John's been mentioning, these storms are moving quick. And so once we get them out of our hair, I bet we can probably cancel some of these early. So we can keep our fingers crossed for that. John, anything from the Weather Service?
Nothing from the Weather Service just yet, Danielle. So they're going to probably stay right on until 5 o'clock, or until 9:15. So that's what we'll be doing as well. I just got a word from our producer, Matt Friend, that 53 flights delayed out of Charlotte Douglas, right? Just from this particular storm. That's just the beginning, right? And then you got to figure out all the residuals. So I'm so sorry if you have family that's heading out or coming in. I'm also watching here from the Weather Service to see what we're hearing about, and nothing here at this point. But what we're watching here is this warning. This cell right here has been the real troublemaker, the real area of concern. Now, York County is a very big county, right? So let's say if you're waking up and you live in Rock Hill and you see a tornado warning, you're thinking, oh my goodness. No, this is a thunderstorm warning for you. The biggest tornadic threat is Clover, Filbert, nearing the South Carolina line. The warning is up until 9:15. So while we are on the air, and we will get off promptly unless they decide to extend it to Gaston, my thought is they won't, but if they do, we'll watch that certainly. We will stay on the air. But here's the big picture, and of course we will provide you updates through this morning. We're here to keep you safe. That's our job, and we'll let you know if anything turns really bad here or dangerous. I just got word here that a thunderstorm warning has now been issued for Catawba, so they've now gone up to Catawba County with that line. So they're going to be canceling this, my thought is. But here's the big picture, right? This line of storms marches through between 9 and 10 a.m., and then it's done. It's so quick, right? So quick, you're going to blink, you're going to miss it. But in that line here, the wind, my goodness, 40 to 50. It doesn't take much, and it doesn't take a big lot of time for this to produce a lot of damage at this point. Danielle, let's send it to you here real quick, and I'll get another quick look from the Weather Service. But here's all our warnings up in effect until 10:15. So that should tell you how quickly this is going to be out of here. And then hopefully by 11 o'clock at Charlotte, we can start to settle down and enjoy the rest of our day. Danielle? Yeah,
John, I think one of the things that really made people, perk up about the weather today is it feels so warm outside. We've got that fuel in place for some of these storms. I want to just briefly talk about the rest of your forecast here. It's mild outside. Temperatures are in the 60s. It is humid. You can feel it. It almost feels more like a springtime day than end of December. And it's all because winds are really gusty coming out of the south right now. Continuing to see winds gusting between 20, 30, 35 miles per hour. And up through the high country, they could get as high as about 50 miles per hour. So we're going to continue with those breezy conditions. We're going to continue tracking these storms passing through, and we'll continue watching all of these lines of severe thunderstorm warnings as they pop up. I anticipate that's going to continue to happen as these lines of storms continue to march to the east. And as John mentioned, it's going to be gone pretty quick, at least this first line, pushing through Charlotte in the next, 30 minutes or so, and then continuing off to the east as we go on through the afternoon. We'll have to keep an eye, see if any of those watches or warnings do get extended out to our east as this line continues off towards the Triangle in eastern North Carolina. Something we'll continue to monitor there. Could see some residual brief showers, maybe rumble behind this system, but it does look like a lot of the energy from today is going to be used on this pretty significant line that's moving through right now, something that we'll continue to keep an eye on. John?
Hey, thanks so much, Danielle. Again, the big picture here is that coming up at 9:14, when this warning should be expiring in minutes, We're checking to see what they plan to do, the Weather Service, if they're going to extend this into Gaston. My thought is that they will not, but we will certainly, I've not heard word from them at this point, but we'll certainly stay on the air if they go back. But if not, we'll send you back to regular programming. But multiple severe thunderstorm warnings, that should just prepare you that we're all in for a very quick round of major rain and wind, and then we're done. We can enjoy the rest of our day. But just be prepared, hunker down. This area is an immediate concern. Fort Mill right now getting hit hard with some of those strong winds, and that will get ready to push across the border, up into Marvin, up into Weddington, Pineville, Raintree, some of the spots in neighborhoods of Charlotte, Beverly Woods, Matthews, all that in play between now and 10 a.m., and then it is done. Follow the line down to Lancaster. You also will be under that as well. But this was the original culprit right here, the original tornado warning, and that was for Central York. So Rock Hill, thankfully, you avoided that. So we wait here. It is at 9:15, and as soon as I find out that this expires, we will be ready to get that back to it, and it has. We will now return to regular scheduled program, but we will be on the air every half hour until this thing is gone to keep you safe. Until that time, be prepared for very heavy rain, a quick round of wind, and then we're done. All the latest updates also on the WSOC weather app. Back to programming.
From Channel 9 Eyewitness News, this has been a Severe Weather Center 9 weather alert. Stay with Channel 9 for further updates on air, online, and on the WSOC TV weather app.